What's poppin', people? It's Dante, going for a nice morning hike here in Fairmount Park, Philadelphia. Welcome to the woods. And today I'm thinking about burnout in photography and how to overcome burnout in photography. Some candid thoughts on burnout. So burnout is interesting. I think a lot of the time burnout derives from a very technical, physical thing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's gear. I think we get gear fatigue, when it comes to photography. It requires you to be in embodied reality physically. Of course, you need the vitality to move and to walk and to do. But I think the burden of the camera, where you put the camera on your neck, you wipe the lens down, you're putting the photography vest on and going out there to tell some visual stories, putting your photography hat on and giving yourself a checklist and this thing that you're looking for and working on can cause burnout in my personal experience. And these days, working in the spirit of play and not taking photography so seriously, I actually find it impossible to feel burnout. And realistically, the camera and the choice of camera, I think, does play a role. For me, having a compact digital camera, Ricoh GR, fits in my pocket. It's always with me. I don't have to even think. I just do. And I always have it with me and I'm always photographing. Wow, look at this beautiful tree. And I'm just in a perpetual flow state throughout the day because it fits in my front right pocket. And so I just wanted to share that idea with you very quickly about gear, because I do think that these kind of things become a bit of a burden and lead to burnout. All of the decision fatigue of which camera, which lens, what to use, what to do, what to shoot. I think you should stop thinking and start doing, start living your everyday life and just bring your camera for the ride and photograph what you find along your journey. For me, treating photography as a visual diary of my day has become the most beautiful way to approach this thing. For I find that making pictures in this spirit of play is allowing me to enter the flow state. It's allowing me to enter this sort of spirit of play that allows for production, that allows for endless creativity, that allows for endless exploration, that allows for me to photograph freely without the burden of trying to make something good or bad, and just kind of making pictures in a way that feeds my inner curiosity. Making pictures for me is a way to affirm my everyday life, to thrive in the mundane and find meaning in that. Right? And so that to me is the power of photography. It's to simply cultivate joy in your everyday life. And so if photography is making it, if photography is starting to feel like a chore or feel like a burden, and the process is bringing you this pain and you're having to sort of think too much and feel too little, well, yeah, maybe your process is brittle. Maybe it's not so strong, and maybe you should start to think about ways in which you can embrace play more in your practice and not take it so seriously. Man, such a beautiful morning. I love exploring. I love going out into the world and finding new things in the mundane. I think that's the name of the game with this thing. It's, the simple act of noticing. And that act of noticing derives through curiosity. But I think when it comes to this modern world, we lack vitality. We spend too much time inside. For me, that's where souls go to die. But when I'm outside and I'm moving my physical body, photographing, I thrive and I exist outside the passage of time. For this is where the ultimate gift lies, in the present. And so when I'm photographing, I affirm life. When I'm photographing, I say yes to life with each click of the shutter. For me, to overcome burnout in photography is quite simply a mindset shift. It's a philosophical approach to life itself. For me, photography fuels my love for life. And so for you to feel burnout, it's mostly internal. Burnout is something that's very much internal. It's very much a physical thing as well, because I believe if you lack vitality, well, how are you going to cultivate curiosity? And so simple things like getting deep sleep, eating red meat, lifting things, becoming stronger, having the ability to walk and stand upright throughout the day is going to allow me to be in this flow state of production, of creation, of making new photographs. And through walking more and seeing more and photographing more, I cultivate curiosity, the end goal within itself. But the only way to achieve that goal is to cultivate vitality in your physical body. And so burnout in photography has nothing to do with photography, but has everything to do with your approach to everyday life. And so every night before I go to sleep, I remind myself that I may die. And I assume when I wake up in the morning that I may not open my two eyes. And so when I wake up in the morning, I have this enthusiasm for the day. I have this enthusiasm, this strong gait. I'm just eager for the day. I wake up and I'm reborn again, and I return to the childlike state. But this requires you to remember and firstly understand that you will and must die. And then through recognizing the impermanence of everyday life, of your life rather, when you go out there and experience everyday life, things become fresh again, things become new again, and you're not going to be bored or burnt out from photography. When you have an abundance of physical energy, when you have vitality and you cultivate curiosity in the morning, and you look at life and you remind yourself, wow, I'm grateful to be alive. You know, wow, thank God that I'm here right now to witness all of this beauty. Well, that's how you overcome burnout. You overcome burnout by falling in love with life each day. To me, that's the duty, that's the role of the photographer. The goal of the photographer is to fall in love with life each and every day. And through falling in love with life each day, you're gonna go out there and play. You're gonna go out there and photograph. You're gonna go out there and do more and walk more and see more and notice things. You know, for me, photography provides me the ability to uplift the mundane, to find something extraordinary in the ordinary. And through photographing each day, I'm chipping away at life. I'm saying yes to life. It gives my life deeper meaning. But it's found in the process. It's found in the stream of becoming, through change, through evolution, through growth. And so if you ever feel like you've done it all, seen it all, photographed it all, and you become burnt out, one must return to that beginner's mind. One must return to the amateur's mind, the child's mind, the place of being where you have infinite potential and infinite possibility. And so when you think of a child, there's endless growth, there's endless things to learn. And that's how I want to feel each and every day when I wake up in the morning. I don't want to feel like I've known it all. I don't want to feel like I've done it all. There's so much to do, there's so much to see, there's so much to explore and to photograph in this life of ours. For you could live until you're 120 years old, but still not see every square inch of this planet. Still not see everything, photograph everything, do everything that you've wanted. And I think that's such a beautiful and abundant thought. And so if you're feeling burnt out from photography, try to find new ways for you to cultivate vitality. For me, that's the first and foremost approach that I found to overcoming burnout. It's through becoming insanely strong physically, and through that strength and that physical walking ability, where I have the ability to sort of walk endlessly, stand endlessly, sort of walk with a strong gait. I think then you have cultivated the body that can support the mind, that's connected to your two eyes, that will allow you to go out there and notice things. And through the act of noticing and looking at life and clicking the shutter, you're simply affirming life. And I think that's where we overcome burnout. I think it's a very physical thing. I don't think it has to do with any like creative blocks or not finding something new in your photography or, you know, making pictures that aren't quote unquote good. You know, I think people get burnt out because you're becoming bored of life. You know, you're becoming bored of your mundane routine. And so think more critically about how you can find ways to cultivate curiosity. And it's through shifting your mindset, and it's through making yourself an amateur again, really. And I think to tie it back together to my idea with gear, these kind of things do get in the way for photographers, where you're switching your camera, you're switching your lens, you're putting it on your neck, you're making it a chore. But when photography becomes effortless, and when you forget that you even have a camera, well, then you can start to create. Then you can start to play. You know, that's to me, that's for me how, you know, that's how I've considered burnout. That's how I consider burnout. That's what I think about this idea. And I just wanted to share that because I think ultimately photography has nothing to do with photography, but it has everything to do with how you engage with humanity out there in the open world on the front lines of life. And the goal of the photographer is to essentially fall in love with life each day and allow that to reflect in the photographs you make. And so thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Oh, check it out. Let's see what I just took pictures of while I was making this video. It's kind of fun. I like these pictures. Yes, yes, yes. Whoa. Surprise myself.